Radiation Protection Authority (RPA) is a statutory body in the Ministry of Health established by the Government of the Republic of Zambia through an Act of Parliament No. 16 of 2005. The main mandate of RPA is to provide for the protection of the public, workers and the environment from hazards arising from the use of devices or materials capable of producing ionizing radiation. How does RPA execute its mandate?
So we have got various safety standards which we have set, and we have got regulations which are in place apart from the main act which is in place. And who are we regulating? We are regulating quite a number of our clientele. We are regulating the major mines, and as you may be aware, there is a lot of exploration of uranium in Zambia, and also there is a lot of movement of transboundary movement of these materials from other countries through Zambia and to our various mining industry. And also some of these materials have been installed in the mining area, and so we regulate the mining sector. We also regulate the agriculture sector where they are using radiation. We also regulate the research institutes, the National Institute for Scientific and Industrial Research, where they are using radiation in various techniques in the application of their nuclear energy. We also regulate cancer disease hospital. I'm sure you have heard of treatment of cancer in the country. They are using very high-tech equipment which emits radiation, and this equipment is at cancer disease hospital. And so we have to ensure that all the oncologists and all the radiotherapy technologists and the other experts who use this technology at cancer hospital, they follow the laid down safety guides.
The authority is therefore mandated to regulate all users of ionizing radiation to ensure that all users, members of the public and the environment are protected from harmful effects of radiation that may arise from its use. The Protection Services Department looks at dosimetry and calibration services. This section is responsible for ensuring that all workers who are working in the radiation field are monitored. This is done through personnel dosimetry services, as explained by the Director of Protection Services.
So we give them dosimeters, what we call radiation badges, to monitor the radiation exposure that they are exposed to during their course of week. We have the machines that help us to read the badges, and at the end of a certain period we are able to tell how much radiation a worker has been exposed to. Under food and environmental radioactivity monitoring, this is a service that we offer to make sure that whatever is being consumed by the public is radioactive free. And also we monitor for radioactivity in the environment to make sure that the soil, the water and the air in the vicinity of human beings is free from radionuclides. Then for transportation of radioactive materials, due to the effects that can arise if radioactive materials are transported not according to the required standards, we have to come in and make sure that all transportation of radioactive materials is done according to the regulations and according to the international standards. This is in order to protect the environment and the public through which these materials are passing through from being unnecessarily exposed.
Other activities done by Protection Services are radioactive waste management, coordinating nuclear security and safeguards, nuclear radiological emergency preparedness and response. The other major department of the authority is the Regulatory Department, which coordinates licensing, inspectorate and standards section. The licensing section is responsible for ensuring that all users of ionizing radiation in the country are licensed by the authority. While the standards section oversees that all licensees follow all the safety standards outlined by the authority through their policy documents. The section further coordinates all enforcement actions taken against any non-compliant radiation users in the country.
Currently, the penalty which is there in the legislation is very, very stiff. And therefore, that's why we are revising the legislation so that probably we could even provide for penalties which involve paying minor fees. The only penalty now which exists is to take someone to court, to the High Court, because radiation is treated as an issue which cannot be compromised. It's about life. And so what is there in the law is that if someone violates grossly, then they have to be taken to court. The only interim measures we do, which is provided for in the regulations, if someone violates, is to suspend practice.
Other places where radiation is used include Zambia breweries, where the radiation sources are used for level measurements of their beverages. National Institute for Industrial and Scientific Research, where radiation sources are used for research and training. Kenneth Kaunda International Airport for baggage scanners. And the Road Development Agency, where it is used for density measurements during the construction of roads.
In these boxes, it's where we keep the troxlers, which we use for our field densities or field compaction to determine the strength of our roadworks.
What you see here is a nuclear density gauge. We use these gauges to check compaction in the field, because once you have laid some layer, if it's for instance a road layer out there in the field and you want to check whether you have compacted it to the required amount, so you'd use this equipment to check. So basically it is radioactive and it uses this rod to actually measure the compaction.
So what we do is when we get to the field, we'll simply get the detector, switch it on, and then try to move it around the gauge. And the required minimum distance is normally a meter. And then when a reading is gotten, we compare it with the standards that we have established in the regulations. So that is in the field. But also when we inspect the storage facility, we also try by all means to ensure that by the entrance, where the workers are also are always exposed to, we also do some form of measurement and then check the amount of exposure. With the values that we're going to obtain, then we can determine whether the levels are safe or not. And if the levels are within acceptable limits, still more, we will ensure that the other safety requirements are put in place so that we optimize safety of the workers and those of the public.
This is the Cobalt 60 machine, one of our treatment machines at Cancer Diseases Hospital. It treats every type of cancer. So currently there's a patient here lying, we are treating him for one of the cancers, yes. And then we were just trying to set him up because accuracy in this treatment is very key, knowing that we are dealing with radiation. So we basically treat them according to the field size planned, and then that's what we were doing initially, trying to set him up to the field size planned so that we don't irradiate areas that are not in the treatment field.
This is a brachytherapy unit which we use to treat mostly cancer of the cervix in women, and the source comes from inside here. It's an iridium-192 radioactive source, and it stays in this container, which is a lead-shielded container, so therefore it is very safe. This will go inside the patient, and once it goes inside the patient, we are able to operate it from the outside, and then the radiation source will come out through these yellow tubes and go straight into the patient. And normally we treat for about 8 to 10 minutes to deliver a dose that is lethal enough to destroy any cancer cells.
Those who would like to offer medical X-ray services, they can come through. We are here to give them guidance on how they can design those facilities in line with the protection requirements from radiation. This includes how they can design them to protect themselves to protect also the workers who are working in those facilities and also the patients. So then at that point when we advise them, then they'll be able to follow what is laid down in the act or regulations, and then we'll be able to follow up by inspections and advise them that yes, this is the way they need to go in terms of safety.
For more information on the application procedure, kindly visit RPA offices at Exploration House, Government Road, Ridgeway, Lusaka. Telefax 260-211-252481. Mobile 0953 269970. Email radiation@rpa.gov.zm. You can also visit the website at www.rpa.gov.zm.